Hello and welcome to Practically Speaking Houston. I'm your host, Veronica Sopher, and I have the pleasure of connecting our communication professionals in the Houston space together on this amazing podcast. This is the official podcast of the Houston chapter of PRSA, and we love that we are adjacent to some of our other sister organizations that are in our space. So if you are a communications professional, this is where you need to come to get to know others in this space. So let's take care of some housekeeping. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episode of Practically Speaking Houston. And if you are watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, drop us some comments because my guests and I always love to stay connected. And as always, check out the show notes. That's one of the best ways to stay connected to other Houston communication professionals. So let's go ahead and get this episode started. I'm going to invite our guest on today. We have Mona Tolbert. Welcome, Mona, to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I am
Glad to be
great.
here.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here because one of the things that we do on the podcast is try to get to know our members and our professionals in the space so that we can collaborate and just grow our profession in a way that's meaningful and very strategic. So I'm so glad you're here today.
I'm glad to be here to share my experience.
Well, and Mona, one of the things I know you're in the nonprofit space and we're going to get to that, but one of the things I always want to start out with is getting to know you a little bit better. What got you into communications or public relations or marketing, or where was your passion? Was it graphics? Was it strategy? How did you get started in the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. My passion has always actually been writing. I got my undergraduate degree from Baylor University in journalism, news editorial, and I really thought I was going to follow in the footsteps of Oprah. She was my inspiration, wanted to be a journalist. And after graduation, it was really kind of hard to find a journalist job, a reporter job that wasn't in a big market. You know, I had lofty goals. And when I discovered that I had to start in a smaller market, I decided maybe I will pursue something a little bit more practical. So after graduation, I attended HBU at the time. Now it's Houston Christian University. So I'm probably dating myself there. And got an MBA. And as I was getting my MBA, I was working at a local radio station here in Houston. And the radio station shared a suite with a marketing agency. So it was a great experience because I got to learn about radio. I was doing ads and voiceovers and things of that nature. And one of the owners of the marketing agency asked me if I would ever thought about public relations. And maybe, you know, there was this, at the time, I think it was maybe the second largest public relations agency in Houston. And she said, hey, they have internships and you should really pursue this. You can combine your business degree with your writing. And I just never thought about it, but I did apply and I got that internship and it really changed the trajectory of my career. And I had a wonderful mentor that I got to work on some amazing projects for the Houston Housing Authority. And I got to pitch to media. And I just loved it. I loved seeing my work in print, or I would say in lights. And so that just inspired me to pursue PR as a profession. And shortly after leaving the internship, which my internship was extended. That's how hard I worked. It was only supposed to be an internship, right? I worked at another agency and then I went on to education and then spent almost 10 years at Girl Scouts of San Jacinto Council, which is the second largest council in the country, but it's the Houston area council in PR and really building out that function. Started off just as a PR manager. I say just as, but you know, building out a function in nonprofit is a lot of work. Worked with a phenomenal comms director at the time, and she's now the chief marketing officer. So, and when I left there, I was the comms director. And it was just a great experience. Yeah. And took some time off. And thought I was going to pursue just, entrepreneurially and spent a few months supporting other local businesses and freelancing and came across this opportunity contract role at Genesis Works, where I am currently, and love the mission. And it inspired me to stay on, and that's where I am now. Started off just as a national PR manager, and now I'm the director of communications.
That's
So it was a
so
journey. But
yeah, I love how it meandered in a lot of different ways, but you were still in organizations where there was some core alignment, right? I mean, what I heard over and over is, Girl Scouts and being of service and the housing authority. And now in your current organization, tell us a little bit about what it is you do or what the organization does and some of the projects you're working on, because I feel like that type of alignment, people don't think about when they think about nonprofits. They think about, maybe a food bank or a women's shelter, but there are a whole lot of other ways that nonprofits support our community, and the work you do is incredibly important to tell that story.
oh, absolutely. I would call myself the chief storyteller of our organization. So Genesis Works is a national nonprofit that actually prepares young people for the workforce. We support primarily high school seniors. So the summer before their senior year of high school, they go through about 8 weeks of professional development and technical skills training in preparation for a paid internship at a top employer. I could rattle off a few names like Target, Land O'Lakes. Here in Houston, it would be, Kirkland and Ellis, also Medtronic, Service Corps International, which I think is SCI, Heinz. So, these are high school seniors taking on these early career roles and doing extremely well at them. The goal of the organization is long-term economic mobility. So we work with primarily communities that are underserved or under-resourced, and really supporting these young people in preparing for their next steps after high school, college, and then their future.
That's so exciting. I love that, especially the national reach, and then how here locally in Houston, we can see that action in work. So what do you think some of the bigger challenges are for a nonprofit like yours in today's communication space? In other words, there's so much noise, and social media is so dominating in how we become effective as comms and PR pros. What do you think the biggest challenge is for someone in a space like similar to yours?
Yeah, I would agree with you. There is so much noise. The other thing sometimes that people don't realize is, and I was just having a conversation with a colleague about this, is sometimes when you're not a needs-based, because you talked about the food pantry, you talked about the unhoused, sometimes when you're viewed as not needs-based, you often have to work a little bit harder. But our work impacts long-term the I would say the economic survival of the person, right? So we are actually doing work that is preventative, right? So that long-term, the cost for the impact as far as like remediation is not as costly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that what we do is extremely important, especially now as it is harder to find, right, a job. Also, if you're looking at the trends, young people, especially Gen Z, are not, according to companies, as prepared as they should be coming out of college. And so we've gotten the feedback from many of our corporate partners who say, hey, these high school seniors perform just as well or even better as some of our college interns because of the preparation and working with schools. Because the mission of education is really to prepare you for life, right? And steps after high school, so that our young people can be really productive members of society. And so when we partner with schools who are don't have nearly as many resources, right, and opportunities for our young people to prepare for those next steps. We support the student holistically. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. And having coming from a K-12 background, that really speaks to me because school districts are being asked to do more with less. Our
Right.
budgets are being cut, and so we look to nonprofit partners like you to find ways to supplement some of those or address some of those pieces of feedback that we too get back from local employers. And investing ahead of time is going to save us so much more money, and honestly it's a quality of life, right? So I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think the work that you're doing is truly truly amazing. If there was a need that you or your team or maybe your organization had from fellow comms people in the Houston market, what would that be? Are you guys looking to expand, find new partners? Are there projects or collaborations that would be like amazing organizations to work with? In other words, now's your time to pitch to our folks. Who out there
Yeah.
in this space can help you really make a bigger impact with what your organization is focused on?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think what we need right now as an organization is to be able to support more young people
Mm,
and uh, by opening doors to them through internship seats, right? So if you are a member of a comms team, I have an intern. I've had an intern for a few years. Every program year, I take an intern. Um, and so if you are in comms or marketing and are in need of or willing to support a young person and probably breaking into marketing and comms, yeah, please reach out to me. We are looking to really, again, support as many young people as we can in preparing for future employment or preparing for next steps after high school into college. I think sometimes we don't realize that the best thing we can give a young person is exposure to different
yes,
fields.
yes.
And communications now in the age of AI is probably even more important now than ever.
Mm,
Writing, communication, presenting, um, um, storytelling,
yeah. And
learning that,
content,
content
content.
creation.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
this is all graphics. I mean, we all know what an AI generated graphic looks like now. I think everyone knows
Yeah,
that. Even my children do. So
yeah.
I think just exposure to comms
Hmm.
careers would
Hmm.
be really helpful. I think that would be my call to action. So
Yeah,
if you're
I love
looking
it.
to mentor and to really help develop the next generation of comms professionals, yeah, please reach out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, Mona's contact information will be in the show notes. So please reach out to her. But I love all of the ideas because a lot of us who are on the more senior side of our careers, the idea of making social media reels and creating content, we get it. We've watched YouTube, we understand it, but we're not native at it. And I can tell you, my 19-year-old can kick out 20 reels for me in 45 minutes, and it'll take me 40 minutes to create one. So if you're looking for an intern with someone with a different eye, a native user who understands the trends and knows what the trends mean, this is your opportunity to really elevate your social media. So give Mona a ping. She wants to connect you with young folks looking for exposure.
Absolutely. And they're,
Mhm.
like you said, they're digital natives. We are targeting them as well, right? So if you're looking to engage young people, the best person to be able to tell you what the trends are and how you should position yourself in the digital space is someone from that target audience.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. Well, hopefully you get some good connections. Mona, how can people connect with you if they've got ideas other than what you're working on currently? What other ways can people just get to know you a little bit better and connect and maybe have a virtual coffee to see what opportunities might exist, or they may want to get some feedback from you if they're looking into going into the nonprofit space?
yeah, they can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and also they can send me an email. in the
Great.
show notes. Yeah.
Yep. That's where it'll be because we're always looking to connect. Mona, last question for you. What piece of advice would you have for a young graduate wanting to get into the PR marketing communication space? Your journey started in a lot of different ways and got you to where you are today. What piece of advice would you give somebody who's just now graduating?
I would say to find a mentor, be persistent. A lot of times, you don't find young people are actually reaching out, sending a message on LinkedIn or a DM to someone that really inspired you. Maybe you like their content, you want to get to know how they started. I think be persistent in finding a mentor and a person that could support you. And if you don't have that person, I would say develop a great relationship with one of your communications professors and help them kind of guide you on next steps after college, or who you should, or internships or professional organization. Another recommendation would be to join a professional organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Like PRSA Houston or AMA.
that's right.
Like, that's also a great way to network. But I think networking is going to be key to you finding a role. Really, don't turn down any opportunity
Yeah, no, that's
to
great.
engage with other professionals and to learn more about the field.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really great advice. I wish someone had really, especially when I was coming up in the space, given me some of those very practical tips, like reach out, be persistent, don't say no, find a mentor, ask someone to be a mentor. So I love that you suggested that. And of course, we love our young professionals joining our organization because it helps us to see that new leadership rising up and gives us an opportunity to pour into them and then pour into us. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Mona. Great advice. Thank you for joining us. You have done an amazing job sharing what it is that your organization is doing. My hope is that our members will reach out and find a way to collaborate, because I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said investing in our young people right now helps all of us, especially on the economic front, because that's something we should all be trying to do more of.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you for
right.
having me. Great discussion today.
You bet. Mona's been a great guest. We love having her on Practically Speaking. So we're going to go ahead and wrap that episode up right now. And guys, please go into the show notes. That's where you're going to find all of Mona's contact information. Our goal on Practically Speaking Houston is to make sure that communication professionals are staying connected and finding ways to collaborate to strengthen our field. So that wraps up our episode. Please make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episode of Practically Speaking Houston. I'm your host, Veronica Sopher. I have the opportunity to come to you with amazing guests so that we can stay connected. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out in the comments or on the podcast. Make sure you connect on LinkedIn. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode and we will see you next time.